Hello everyone and welcome back. Today I will talk about memory. Being intelligent and the definition of an intelligent system is correlated with how well a feedback that system can create given a certain input. And this abstract definition of a system for an engineering system, engineering body, let's say, is often true for a biological system as well. What distinguishes a biological system, a cell, from a non-living organism, let's say, is again how can it create a certain reaction to its environmental changes. And the ability to do that is often correlated with a property called adaptiveness, and how adaptive that organism is to that certain environment is how well that organism will succeed. So we humans are the best example of this. We can live in Africa as well as in Antarctica because we can terraform the environment to our likings, as well as we have a good capacity to evolve and adapt. And again, this correlation and this reaction, when you think mathematically, is like a function. You have an input and you produce an output. And to increase the capacity of how well you can get an output from your input, you can increase the input size. So you can give more data to your system, and by giving more data to your system, you can create a better model and you can create a better feedback. So having a good memory, if you want to think more practically in this case, let's talk this over an example. Let's say I'm asking you to give a verdict on a murder. You have 5 suspects, okay? So in order to determine which one is the real murderer, you will need information. And for that information, for example, I'm gonna take you places, okay? And you need to observe and you need to recall information while you are making the decision. And this is the case for the murder as well as the next exam that you will take. Because in the exam you will need to remember, like in the murder case, you will need to remember exactly what your teacher said and all the information of the suspects. So, having good memory is often correlated with intelligence, and it is. But is this a good definition? Is this a good metric for how well will you succeed in life? I don't think so. Because as you increase the data size, yes, for a certain exam situation, let's say, or for a certain verdict that you will give, the bigger the data, the better the output will be, theoretically. But practically, you will need to process that data. In an exam, you might have, very long hours and stuff, and it could be very well feasible. Or for a murder verdict, you can work with Sherlock Holmes, who has like the biggest mind ever in the... Of course, he isn't a real person, but you get the idea. So what I'm trying to say is that, yes, if you have the time and you have the processor, like Sherlock, you can get a better feedback. If, in a way, you can know every particle in the universe, and this is called actually Laplace's universe. You can predict where this universe will be, but for that you will need a huge capacity to process that information. So let's be more practical. In life, most of your decisions are intuitive decisions, and people who often take a long time to make those intuitive decisions are generally not that successful, because you see, in life, as far as I can tell in my I'm still at my early ages while I'm taking this video, of course. So in life, what matters is that you take lots of initiatives, of course you will make mistakes. So it's not an idealized situation that I was explaining to you. So your life isn't a single exam. You will take 100 million exams. You are taking every exam every 5 minutes with every decision you are making. Even if it's very small, you are changing the trajectory of your life. And those small initiatives are what avalanching and creating a total string of possibilities for your future. So in a way, forgetting stuff, especially forgetting your past mistakes and how they felt, is a superpower. Because if you remember every single detail in your past, not only it will take you a lot of processing to make a decision, but also you will remember how it felt. And if you felt every single because I think winning of course feels good, but losing feels much worse. And people who win generally win because they don't want to lose. That's the most, because before entering to exams, you feel very anxious, or even the biggest, think of the biggest moments in your life. Probably, there's a psychological thing that you want to remember most of it, and that's why actually dentists give you candies at the end of the procedure to make you forget about all those bad stuff. But in theory, we are remembering everything. So if we didn't forget, if our brain didn't work like this, then we wouldn't make any new decisions. We wouldn't take initiatives in our lives. So having a bad memory is actually a gift. So it's a gift and a curse, and I think there's a sweet spot on it. So you need to remember those data sets, but somehow in everyday life situations you need to take risks and initiatives. So somehow you also need to forget those stuff as well. So while making those decisions in those situations, you will need to remember certain things and forget those things. And I think this can only be done with practice. And one will get better, I think, if he or she practices these kind of decisions. And being aware of these decisions while making them, I think, is the crucial point. So thank you for your time, and stay with whatever I was talking about.